My people, what up, though? We back with another episode of All Black Men Need Therapy. My name is Chief.
And I'm Bell.
We got a special guest today, Mr. Sean Bennett. Bell, I'll give you the introduction shortly. But happy to be back.
Yeah, man.
Get this thing rolling. Sean, we typically start our episodes with a check-in. It's kind of, where you are, how things are going, and we get to the topic of it all. Bellhead, check in.
I'm good, man. I had my first one-on-one therapy session today in a while, which was good. It's the therapist that we use for our couples therapy, so that was cool. And I just started going. You know what I'm saying? And she is like, at the end, she's like, so you just need a space to do this. I'm like, yeah, I just need to talk. I said, I'm sure you going to help me get through some things, but there was things that. Because we've been going to her since 2014, give or take. And I'm like, there's things that you don't know about me because it's not about me when we go, it's about us. But, I'm giving her my background, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I'm speeding through it. I'm like, and then we got up on time. I'm like, I'll save the rest for later. She's like, no, my 10 o'clock canceled. You can keep going. So, you know what I'm saying? I had some meetings coming up, but we went like an hour and a half. It was good though. And I'm going to be back in 3 weeks. But she asked me a question today. The few times she did speak. And what she said was, because I told her, look, I'm putting myself first. I'm making myself a priority for a change. And what she said is, she is like, are you okay with those consequences? And I'm like, I don't know yet. I don't know. I don't know yet, but I feel like that's what I got to do. Like, I feel like I got to make myself the priority as opposed to like.
Side note, I don't know why, but I get happy when the sirens go by because y'all know we recording in the hood. I don't know why, but that just makes me excited.
Meanwhile, somebody might have just died.
Because
that was an ambulance, ladies and gentlemen. That wasn't a cop car.
I don't know why, but it gives me that real home feeling. I don't know. But go ahead.
We out here.
Yeah, exactly.
Word.
So yeah, man, that was it. I'm good, man. I keep getting presentations canceled. It's just, it's the week leading up to Memorial Day, so a lot of people taking off and stuff like that. But I've been having some meetings canceled. But I'm good, man. I'm going to Grand Rapids in a couple of weeks. Never been out there. I got a client presentation out there. What else? I think that's it, man.
What you wearing? You smell like a whole bunch of pretty. I need some cologne. Hey, quick story, y'all. I stopped wearing cologne at like 14 years old. I was in the library.
Wait, how long was you wearing cologne for at 14 years old?
No, I'm saying I started wearing cologne, I was, younger, and then I just stopped. I haven't worn cologne. I started wearing it again maybe like early this year.
How'd you pick? You just, whatever your dad used to wear?
No. Such an asshole. So Bam was like a cologne connoisseur. He had a bottle. Yo, here, you can have that. It was.
What was it? Oh, it was Gucci, right?
No, Dolce & Gabbana.
Dolce & Gabbana.
Yeah, so it was cool. I liked it. But so I went in the library getting my Mac on. Shorty started kissing on my neck, and she was like,
"Oh, in high school or whatever."
And I'm like, "Damn!" And then like 2 weeks later, she's like, "Yeah, that cologne. You smell like my ex-boyfriend. Never wore cologne again."
Shut up.
Traumatized. Never wore cologne again.
Well, first of all, you got to spray it on your clothes.
Either way. They say you put the hit, bang, bang, you know what I'm saying?
Nah, it might break out.
See, you're not supposed to put on your clothes. I hear all kind of stuff. So those who are cologne connoisseurs.
You spray in the air and walk it.
Yeah, and let's walk through it, you know what I'm saying? But whatever you wear, it smells good. Like,
I thank you for that because the whole time I'm like, man, it's hot. And I'm like, I might stink right now. So thank you for the confirmation.
These lights is on us.
Now I'm wearing YSL. I've been wearing that for like probably 10 years, more than that.
Yeah, so whatever I do decide to get, I'm probably just going to get it. I'm only going to wear one bottle. I don't know. Maybe I should switch it up. I don't know.
I only wear one.
I'm not really a cologne type of, I just,
and I don't,
natural pheromone type of
The funny thing is I don't put it on every day. Like I had a meeting today, so I put it on. I met with Zach here today.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Zach.
Yeah, he's doing well. That's why I put it on. So I normally don't wear it, but and that's another thing. I was in town. Shout out to my family, my cousin Alan, my aunt Denise, my cousin Paris passed away. I was at his funeral yesterday, and it was good to see family, good to catch up with some folks. And that was another thing. Like reaffirmed, like, we don't have as much time as we think, man. And the last time I saw my cousin, unfortunately, was at my other cousin's funeral.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the Gibson and Daniels family.
Word. Condolences to them. Sean, I'm going to take the next one. I normally go last, but I'm going to take mine and let you know, whatever. So I'm good. Kids are happy and healthy, per usual. MJ is out here kicking on their ass in softball.
Yo, you know you need to hook her up with? Oh, never mind. They don't live out here no more. Never mind.
She's doing.
You know, dead nice. I heard.
Who's that?
Marcus's daughter.
I feel like is she older? Around the same age?
No, they're the same age.
Yeah, I feel like they played against each other before.
They're cousins.
Yeah, I feel like
that's the other thing.
I'm certain.
Like,
I'm certain
they're
they have.
cousins. They're down in like Tampa, I think.
Yeah, so my shorty's doing real well. The boys love going to watch her play, which is cool. You know what I'm saying? They be cheering her on, so that's kind of dope. She was supposed to have a game today, but it was canceled. But I too had my second appointment with my therapist.
Oh yeah, how'd it go?
It was cool, man. It was refreshing. So I had a therapist for like a year, and she was like a family friend. Mm-hmm. And I was telling her, it's just weird because I chose her because I was comfortable. Mm. But then after this year goes down, like the conversation started getting a little bit deeper, and I felt a little bit of discomfort. And I'm like, because of the proximity, now I got to pull back. So let me find someone new who doesn't know anything about me, and I don't got to worry about fear of judgment or whatever. I'm just going to let it go. So I got a new therapist. We had our second appointment yesterday. What's
she local?
Hamden.
As you did say that. You go in person or do virtual?
No, we do virtually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Black woman. She's
How
cool.
do you feel about virtual?
I mean,
I've been my therapist, like I said, since 2014, but I told him, like, yo, look, Lindsay, I got to do this in person. I got to sit on the couch.
No, it don't make a difference.
Don't make a difference to you?
Don't make a difference to me. But she also asked me a question, and she put some things into perspective, and I'm still kind of sorting through it. But we talked mostly about me, like, in this transitional space with works and my job and whatever. And she was just like, you don't trust yourself.
She picked that up on two visits.
Because I'm telling her, and I'm like, it's weird. And she's like, she called me a walking contradiction. She's like,
yo, you know who else said that? Adrian said, he in so many words said that about you one day. So
I'm talking and I'm like, yeah, I'd bet on myself at any time. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm like, but I'd bet on myself, but.
You know what's interesting?
And she's like, you don't trust yourself. She's like, because if you leave, you'll be successful, but you haven't done it. She's like, you don't trust yourself. She goes, I want you to sit, I want you to process with this. What is it about yourself you don't trust? That's our next conversation.
So this is an interesting topic, and we'll get into this in a minute. But it's interesting, man, because in working with you now in close proximity for the 4 years over with this podcast, I pick up on things, you know what I'm saying, with people in general. Like I read people, like that's always been the strength of mine. And I would have never said you're a walking contradiction, but when she puts it like that, it makes sense. So it's not like when she said that, I'm like, nah, she don't know what she's talking about. When you just said that out aloud, I'm like, actually, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like it makes sense. Maybe I wasn't able to frame it in my mind to a point to make it audible, but when that makes sense about you. You know what I'm saying?
I can't say that I didn't know that about myself. I just think I get accustomed to feeding myself a certain story.
That's what Adrian said.
And that's
specifically what he said.
Deeper into it. Because like, again, I don't believe I would fail. I honestly don't. But I'm also scared to jump.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, like that feeling.
Right when that's interesting. Right when you said what you said, one thing came to my mind. I was like, okay, it made sense to me. Right when you were saying, when you were saying.
It's interesting to just to kind of hear it and be able to. And over these past 4 years of the podcast, I've done enough self-reflection for the world. You know what I'm saying? But it's good to continue deep diving into me and learning more about myself, and then just being able to fine tune these things and get the results I need. And again, I'm growing every single day, and it's cool.
I want to give you credit for getting out of your comfort zone, and that with the most recent therapist you had, and going to seek more, because I think that says a lot. Because you could keep feeding yourself that story, like because the story is interchangeable, right? Like you're the common denominator, and whatever you need to say to yourself to keep you in that comfortability standpoint. Right. So it doesn't matter what the topic is. The story's the same. It's just insert topic, right? Like that's that's the thing. So that I applaud you for that, because that's not easy, because I would imagine you're going to be walking into some uncomfortable conversations in the not so distant future.
And that's the thing. I'm like really preparing myself for that. And I think that's why I wanted to transition. Because I want to sit in the middle of discomfort and go, yo, like, cut the bullshit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Here's the challenge, though. Ignorance is bliss.
For sure.
Right? Ignorance is bliss. And now, and the dope thing is, she's a neutral party. Mm-hmm. She has no preconceived notions about you, positive or negative. So anything she's saying to you is based on what you're telling her. And she's assessing you. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's like, when you get the information, now it's real.
Yeah, no.
Like, you can tell yourself, I'm feeding myself a story, but ain't nobody else telling you that. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I can tell you this, man. I'm happy that I made this choice, and I feel good with the fact that I'm like, it's literally like, there's not a thought in my mind about reserving any information.
That's dope.
Like, I'm just
That's
gonna
dope.
be,
You're just ready.
I'm just straight shooting it. Like, yeah, this is what it is. And
You're
she's
ready.
like, and she's like, yeah, you're full of shit, or, you know, whatever she says, I'm like, you know, I'm really taking it in. Like, yeah, this is what I got to work on. So
that's dope.
I'm
that you're so
moving in a
receptive.
good spot. I'm gonna say this though. I appreciate you kind of. I appreciate the acknowledgement, and I'm gonna tell you because you be on my heels, bro.
I do. 100%.
And I watch some of the episodes, and it feels like judgment.
Yeah?
And it's bothersome.
Okay. That's your ego, first of all.
No, it's not.
No, it is.
No, it's, and again, I respect it and I appreciate it, but it's
hey, what's
super.
What's that saying? He who always feels attacked lacks accountability.
No, because I take it. I don't really think about it. When we had these conversations, it's not much pushback.
Bro, I spoke about you today in therapy.
I'm listening. Fuck is you talking? Don't tell people my business.
No, exactly. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, it's deeper than rap with us, man.
For sure.
It's deeper than that. So if you feel attacked, you feel any type of not ill will, but if you feel any type of like discomfort, good. I'm not going to stop, just so you know. And it's not judgment.
No.
Or maybe it is judgment. I don't know what it is. I do know what it is. I see more for you than you see for yourself. And you tell me certain things that leads me to believe you want certain things. So I'm just pushing you to get there. It's uncomfortable because I'm not wrong.
No, but I get in this space where I feel like, and again, I don't think any of us are at where we want to be.
It's a mountain you never summit.
Never get there.
Yeah.
Right. But I almost feel like, I don't want to put anybody, like, put a specific name on it or something like that, but I feel like,
say it.
and I'm trying to put it into perspective. Like, I feel like, I'm not going to put him out there. They don't know who he is, but I don't want to talk about the dude. But I feel like you're talking to me like I'm Jamie Allen.
Yo, he was hilarious. Shout out to Jamie, man.
You know what I'm saying?
No, that's how you receive it, bro.
It's not. But when I look back at certain things, I'm like, damn, like, you know what I'm saying? So like, okay, so when we have these conversations about how I respond to certain situations, mm-hmm. and you say something like, why is this always happening to you? Like, what happened? I was in my feelings for a minute. There was no scene. There was no tension. You know what I'm saying?
No. When I say stuff like that, it's because more often than not, you have that conversation. I'm not doing this. Not with me, but you have I'm not doing this with you. Like, it's an argument or something that you're removing yourself from. And then you have conversations with me about different things that triggered you. All I'm saying is there's something deeper that maybe this new therapist can help you uncover. I'm not saying you're wrong for how you handle it. The consequence of the action is not my concern. My concern is how is somebody able to get you there all the time? And I say all the time loosely.
And so in my head, I'm like, what is there? Like, I took a minute to process some shit that pissed me off. In your head, like, why did that piss you off? Because it did.
But what I'm saying, bro, again, like I said on the last episode.
Forgive us, Sean. This is what happened.
No,
we really dive into conversation. We got a whole
episode ready. Like, this is just checking.
But sometimes the check-in really carries the whole.
It becomes the episode.
You know what I'm saying?
So what I'm saying, bro, is like there's certain things that trigger you. Like the raising your voice thing, when people raise their voice. And that's why I was like, because I listened to the episode and I'm like, well, why are people raising their voice all the time with them? Because again, all I can do is compare it to me. Nobody raises their voice with me.
It's not even raising their voice though. Like tones make me upset. Like
okay.
But it's not even their tone. It's my perception of it.
Perfect.
So it's deeper, like you said. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So why is that? Right? Because that's not even reality.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you just made that shit up.
And that is again, it's a traumatic past.
And this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying anything about how you respond. What I'm saying is before the response, there's something going on internally that is getting you to that point. And I don't know what it is. And I'm not saying
either. So it's not like I'm easily triggered. I really think it has a lot to do with the expectations I put on people. And I get people to put them in this space and expect them to behave a certain way. It's not reality. It's not real. But when it doesn't happen that way, it bothers me.
Yeah, so I'll give you...
And it festers with me for a minute. You know what I'm saying? And then in his head, he's like, damn, like, why are you tripping over that again?
Sean, I'll give you a perfect example. And I'm not doing the elevator. I'm not doing the elevator. But we was in San Francisco in the elevator. No, I'm joking.
Yo, this elevator shit has come up in 15 episodes.
I'm not even talking about the elevator. So Chase's birthday was recent, right? Yeah. And the first time in Boston. Every other time was in Connecticut. So Lorraine just sent the same group chat, the group text, like an Evite. Yeah. I call him. We just talking. Oh, you know Chase's birthday this weekend. He's like, well, I didn't get an invite and I'm feeling the type of way. And I'm like,
have a right to me. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, me neither, man. Where am I?
Yeah. True. You have the right to be upset, right? So I'm like, I'm 99% positive we sent it to you, bro. He's like, no, you didn't. I didn't see nothing. I'm like,
I don't think I was that aggressive though. This Kevin he was trying to make me like the villain. I'm like, all right. I was like, if so, my bad, but I'm gonna check. But I was like, I'm pretty sure I sent it to you. Hit up Lorraine. I'm like, babe, did you send Chief an invite? She's like, yeah. I was like, can you just double check? I just want to make sure. She's like, yeah. Tell him to invite, and he opened it. Yeah. I'm like, this is the shit I'm talking about. Yeah, he also knows I'm super forgetful too. Like,
and I said that on the thing. I was like, you don't be reading text messages. And he said, no, I didn't get an invite. I would have saw the invite.
I did see it, apparently.
I don't remember saying. So that's the case of point. Now, obviously, our relationship is different, right? Very close proximity. Right. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I understand that. But what I'm saying is, you didn't even think of the idea that it could have been, you could have received it and just didn't see it. You immediately went to, I didn't get one and I'm feeling away.
Right.
And you didn't even consider that you may have gotten it knowing your tendency with text messages.
You're right.
But that's a case
we had a conversation and I apologize. It's different with you though. I'm not, everybody don't get that same energy.
All I'm saying is, I didn't get the benefit of the doubt. Me.
Because you didn't send it.
Not even, which is more reason why the benefit of the doubt should have been there, because Lorraine is very good with that stuff.
Because I talk to you every day. You should have reminded me. You know what?
But this is what I'm saying. Right. Like, this is what I'm saying. So this is why I be on him, only because I don't want people's reaction to him or to control his emotions. Right. You know, like if you're so easily triggered, everybody can control your emotions. That's what I said on the last episode. And I'm like, don't give yourself to people to allow them to control you. Right. Though you don't look at it like control, that's what's happening. So that's why I said it has to be a couple steps before this that you got to get to the root to, which is why I'm commending you for going to this new therapist, because I don't know. I'm not saying you would or you wouldn't. I don't know that you would have been able to get there with your former one, is all I'm saying.
No, I really do feel like we did some great work, but we got to a point where it was time for a change. Yeah. And
But I also don't think you would have went to therapy if not for the proximity of that relationship, the first one.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So it's awkward because I'm like, I started it because I was comfortable, but I also pulled away from it because I was uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? So, but it really opened my eyes, and I'm glad that I'm seeing anything. But to be able to acknowledge that, look at it, and then take the steps to do so. Yeah. Prentice, Eugene Powell, Ekik Nerp.
Oh, matter of fact, I texted him. He didn't respond to me. I texted him about therapy if he started.
Yeah. So we making these strides. You know, you said you was gonna do it. We know we got to do it. So let's make it happen. But enough about that, yo.
You was expecting me not to give you credit?
No, not necessarily. But it just sometimes the pat on the back is needed. You know what I'm saying? Side note, you ain't shit. Don't touch me. Don't do that. So yeah, Mr. Sean Bennett is here. Today's episode is titled I need $1. Dollar is what I need.
You need me to check in first? Or
No, we're going to check in. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Mr. Sean Bennett, Bella give you the stats on it. But, Sean, man, check in, bro. How you doing? How you feeling? How you live? And
I'm really appreciative and honored to be here.
That's what's up, man.
We go back quite a few years.
Yeah.
And so, conversations that maybe we had, I don't know, years and years back were not like these conversations. And so to see the progress and now be sitting here at a table to have a discussion about, just all these topics, to me is like really, I'm blown away. I'm honored to be asked to come and contribute to it as well. So, it really is a blessing to me to be here and to see what you guys are doing. Just watching both of you are consummate professionals and have utmost respect for both of you and what you do.
Likewise, appreciate it.
I really appreciate that. I got a lot of things. I feel like that's like me. I just have a lot of things going on. But I'll say this. I was at Coast Guard Academy graduation yesterday. Shout out to all the new ensigns. Just super proud of them. Those are elite men and women that put themselves through that 200-week leadership program. Wow. And shout out to my daughter, Javetsi, who is going to raise her hand and swear into the United States Coast Guard.
Congrats, Javetsi. That's awesome.
So
man.
That is, it's a big deal. So she's 19 and time just goes, crazy. Right?
Crazy.
So, so that little girl is now, getting ready to defend the Constitution of the United States. So that is, happening, and that's amazing. I got the little one who is getting bigger. He's 4. I'll tell you what.
He wild like Chase, man.
He is. And we got to get them together.
We didn't talk about the Taekwondo joint, yo. We got to get on that.
Chase is in jiu-jitsu.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So he's Isaiah. He's a handful, just to say the least. But I'm enjoying watching him grow up and do great things. He's a sensitive kid, but he's tough.
Yeah.
He'll punch you in the stomach, but then he'll hug you. You know what I mean? Like it's all that. And I'm super proud of my wife, Christina, as well. I was just telling Belle before this all started. She spoke at the UN just a few days ago, and so that was amazing to see the Security Council chambers and to see the General Assembly chambers.
Because the UN is technically not even in the United States, right? Or
the UN is in the United States, but everybody is from all over the place.
I thought the actual building wasn't considered.
In New York City.
No, right. But I thought, what building am I thinking about that's not considered on like U.S. soil, even though it's in?
You might be thinking of NATO. Because the UN building is in New York. With all the flags. And, when you see on TV when the world ended and they all meeting in there, that's there. That's dope, man. Every time you see that, I got pictures of it. So you see that room, man. I was in that room.
Does she get booked through an agent, or does she book everything through herself?
It's actually both. So she does get booked through an agency called Ambassadors. So if they're looking for a speaker, they go to Ambassadors. They'll see her and her bio and everything she's about. Some people reach out to her directly, and she's a news correspondent for Live Action News, so people see that there too. So it's just she does a lot of different things.
She's front facing always.
Yeah. So just I'm super proud of her. And then me, I have been taking care of my lawn. So here's what's
Bro, preach,
look,
man.
I let my lawn die. Like I did. So during the pandemic, because we all went home and everybody was crazy. I got my lawn myself. I said I'm gonna do this myself. I'm not gonna pay nobody.
I feel like everybody picked up something during the pandemic.
Man,
yeah.
Some people picked up bad things with money, which I'm gonna talk about.
Drugs.
Some people, picked up. I'm telling you, right? Some things happen. But I picked up the lawnmower, and I mean, my lawn was looking pristine. But then, you don't know what you don't know. You know what I mean? And so I didn't really know it. And so what happened is I let it die.
You missed a cycle, or two.
I killed it. Like I let it die, and it was so horrible. And then I just was like, I'm not touching it. And it like stayed dead for like a year and a half, 2 years. And then I finally said, I'm going to pick this thing back up and I'm going to start working. It's really therapeutic. Mowing the lawn. Okay, I'm going to throw this out here, but I don't know why this is, but I feel like black folks say cut the grass and white folks say mow the lawn. Or if you have money, you mow the lawn. If you don't have money, you cut the grass. I don't know, but I'm just saying. I used to
I say cut the grass.
Cut the grass.
Definitely cut the grass. That's a black. But mow the lawn. Anyway, I'm just saying.
I think that's fair.
But what's funny? When I hear mow the lawn, I think rider.
Yeah.
When I hear cut, I think push.
Man, I noticed that, and I don't know what to say sometimes because I'm torn between two worlds.
Unless you live across the street from me, may she rest in peace. I was on a stack of Bibles. I go outside. Shorty got some shears. It's in the grass, and I'm not bullshitting.
You know, we put an offering on that house.
You told me,
yeah. We didn't get it though. I'm curious to see what it's gonna go for.
But that's So I've been bringing the lawn back, and I'm having really good results. The weather been cooperating when we get some rain.
Nah, because you don't have an irrigation system.
No, because that's what you really need to really do it.
That's what I had in Manchester.
That'll make you look like a genius. Mm-hmm. But no, I'll be out there with, I'll be having to establish the sprinkle every morning and doing all that stuff. So
it's very labor intensive, man.
It is. It really is.
But it's addictive because like once you get a nice lawn, it's like you said, like when you let it die, you was like, it's like disheartening. You know what I mean? Knowing all the work that it took.
But I think the cool part about it is you like refer to it as therapeutic. And it's so crazy how we can find therapeutic in something that we didn't even imagine it would come in. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's dope.
I go out there and get the cutting and doing all that stuff. It's like I feel actually pretty good. I wouldn't even want nobody to do it right now. It's a good
you got to set it how you want to set it. It's funny because I don't cut my lawn because of you.
Right, because I told you that per dollar it doesn't make sense for you. Exactly. No, it's well calculated.
Yeah, he told that story a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, that's true.
That's funny.
All right, so
I'm good. Yeah, okay. I'm good.
All right, so we're gonna jump into today's episode. So today's episode
I need $1.
It's not called I Need $1, but I need $1.
Amen.
It's called No Fund Me, and it's a play on words, right? Because the overarching reason is financial wellness, like we talked about, goes hand in hand with mental wellness, right? Like, and I'll give you some statistics to talk about that, but there's an obvious wealth gap from between the black and brown community and the white community. There's a wealth gap, right? I would argue that the wealth literacy is just as wide, right? And I think that gap is closing a little bit, due to us, like people like myself, bringing attention to it. You obviously as a profession bringing attention to it, and like Earn Your Leisure, obviously that those dudes have been doing. They've been doing a phenomenal job. But I said no fund me, man, because so for those who don't know, I used to sell life insurance and stuff like that back in the day, and I know how important it is. So when I see GoFundMe's, my cousin just passed. He didn't have life insurance. Well, actually, I think he did. We're working through that, but his brother, my cousin, paid for the whole thing. And it's like it's a burden that didn't need to be there. And then when I see GoFundMe's for funerals and things like that, I'm like, it just hurts my heart, Like I'm just like, oh my God, like $20 a month could have solved this,
right.
And the thing is, the life insurance policy you would have, the funeral expenses is peanuts comparatively to the whole policy. Right. And then if you talk about the premium, it's like you can lose $40 in a month, $25 in a month and not know where it went, So that's what I want to talk about tonight. So I brought on Sean, who I'm gonna switch the subject. I'm gonna read his bio quickly, and then I'll let you jump into some statistics as to why this is so important. So, I'll give you some statistics on Sean. So Sean is a 16-year veteran officer of the U.S. Coast Guard. Actually, you don't like how I read. You want to read it?
I hate how you read it.
Then go ahead. You read it.
Sean,
I'll take the
he
statistics.
graduated from the Coast Guard Academy with his BS degree in 97, MS degree in innovation.
Yes, sir.
Put that down. I need to learn more about that. Sean's a natural leader with more than 15 years of business development and entrepreneurship experience in the fields of financial services and technology. He's currently the senior sales director at Decian Inc., a managed IT service provider headquartered in Portland, the bridge in Middletown.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. In addition to his work responsibilities, Sean volunteers his time in several capacities. He is a young adult minister and board member at Shiloh Christian Church. He's the chairman of the Coast Guard Academy's Alumni Association Compensation Committee, member of both Rockfall Foundation's Finance Committee and the CGA Eclipse Legacy Fund, focused on recruiting and retaining minority cadets and officers and mentor the teens, cadets, and other young adults. Sean is also an engaging speaker who seeks to encourage others with practical and life-enhancing truths. His passion for God, commitment to excellence, and strong character are the cornerstones of his achievements so far. Sean is a devoted husband, a father who serves his family and community with love and commitment. I agree with that. You're a good man, Sean.
Thank you, sir.
No doubt.
Yeah, so let's park there for 1 second. So I'm going to give you your flowers, Sean, because I consider you one of my mentors. I've told you this many times, and I don't, just for perspective, I guess for the people listening, I probably have 4 mentors ever, 5 at the most, right? So I can count them on one hand. And every single one of them has changed my life. Like, you can't be a mentor of mine if you haven't changed my life. Like, that's just, it wasn't a criteria that I set. It was just a common denominator when I started looking at mentors. So backstory, guys, like I've said many a times, I was an NFL prospect. NFL didn't work out. I went to Vegas with my buddy who got drafted in the 3rd round. And while we were out there, we had the one sober conversation we had. He was just like, Bell, he's like, man, you don't understand. He's like, now that I have money, so many people's trying to teach me about money. So it piqued my interest. And I'm like, I got to go find out how to get this money. And then I naturally went to my mentor, rest in peace, Marco Villa, and he pointed me to Freddie Irizarry. Shout out to Freddie Irizarry. Fast Freddie.
Shout out to Fred.
And then he got me to you, and I was so entrenched in soaking up the knowledge because I was learning about money, and I never learned about money before in my life. And for the first time, I saw people making NFL money without a ball, right? So I'm like, oh, so I don't have to go to the NFL to make this type of money. So it was a life-changing experience for me. That's where my self-development journey began, right, in 2004, 2005. And I started reading a ton. And then Sean, you'll hear how he talks today. He's just an inspiring leader, so he naturally pushes you to do things. So I was just digging in these books and then making money and doing stuff part-time. So I bought my first house because of you, right? Like, I got licensed through the state of Connecticut as a mortgage broker, and I got paid on my first house. That first house, I bought it from my mom. So it was an amazing experience. And I want to thank you for that because, again, I would not be where I am today if not for you. Like, I talk about people that came into my life. I talk about my secondary mentors, right? Like, my primary mentors helped me literally survive, right? To get me to a point. They got me as far as they can get me. And it was you who said a mentor can only get you as far as their experience, right? And I noticed that my mentors, though I loved them to death, they got me exactly where they were, which is good, right? That was fine because I didn't know that there was anything more past that. And then you open up my eyes to money, to education, right? To, hey, what if you can get paid teaching people how to be financially secure, right? Reach financial freedom, educating them on life insurance, educating them on investments, college funds, all these things. So thank you, man. I just, because you took the time, right, to give me everything I needed, I took the chance to do something different, and I wasn't complacent in where I was in life. And I learned that there was more. And once I learned that there was more, I'm like, I got to at least go try my hand at it.
Yeah.
I got to try my hand at it. And during that time, it was a tough time because I left the high school after doing this part-time, financial services part-time, making really good money. But I left in September 2008, right? Which was the brink of the financial crisis. Mm-hmm. So during that time, I don't tell the story a lot, but I left the high school as the dean of students, and nobody was spending any money in September 2008, right? Like everybody was clutching their purse, and I struggled for months. The person they backfilled me with quit. So they were like, hey, do you want the job back? And I'm broke, 3 months behind on my mortgage. And I'm like, no, but I'll come fill in for 2 weeks just to get some money. Did that, go back to struggling. They replaced the person. That person left. Called me back again. It's like, do you want your job back? And I strongly considered it because I was really messed up. But I said, man, if I go back to this job, everything that I experienced over this last year and a half will be in vain. Mm-hmm. Like the struggle, got my car repossessed. It was all this stuff. And I'm like, I knew I was called for more because of you, because of the experience that you gave me, the exposure that you gave me that I wouldn't have had if I stayed confined in my circle, if I stayed confined with my circumstances, right? For a 23-year-old kid at the time, my circumstances were great, right? 40-something thousand, head JV football coach. Life is good, like I'm making more money than my parents, but it was the education, the leadership that helped me understand that it's more out there and you're called for more. You just got to take the chance on yourself, right? Which goes back into what we were talking about earlier. So I wanted to make sure I say that, man. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, man, for what you poured into me and many other people like me, right? Like I'm not the only person you mentored. There's a lot of people, and I know, and we may or may not get into this, but you are an unsung hero in the development of a lot of people, right? You don't get the credit, and I feel at times, because it's the work that is unseen. Mm-hmm. Like the work that you did doesn't show up on a scorecard, right? Or scoreboard. It may show up for somebody else, right? Because of the patience and time. But I want to make sure I said that publicly, man, because I reference you a lot, but now that you're here in person.
Sean, you've definitely been referenced multiple times on the podcast for sure, and don't even know it. But before we even let you go, we've been talking the whole time, but I want to read these stats because it's pretty interesting. First of all, I didn't know there was an Institute for Divorced Financial Analysts. Like, I don't even know what that is.
You can find anything on the internet.
Word, you know what I'm saying? First of all, but they say 22% of marriages end over money issues, which is wild. But this Boston Globe stat is outrageous. The report in the Boston Globe says the median net worth for white households in the greater Boston region in 2015 was $250,000. Wow. And for non-immigrant black households, it was $8. That'd be $8. Yeah. You get the rat tail cut for that.
$8.
That's crazy.
But that speaks to the wealth gap.
Yeah, for sure. Sean, please take it away, man.
So, well, go ahead. I got questions, but go ahead. If you got any comments on anything you just heard.
I'm not surprised by that statistic. Just because of that is you could almost insert any category that you want to insert into that and take money out of it when it comes to educate all the gaps. There's a gap. There's a health wealth gap. There's a mental wellness gap. There's an education gap. There's a financial gap. It's the same gap. Like money just helps us to quantify it, but it's a qualitative analysis and money quantifies it. So that's a lot of times when, that's why it's compelling. That's why money has such strong emotional attachments to money, because money can there could be something bothering you and you can't quite put it into words. But if I said, that pain costs $7.5 million, then you're like, oh yes, I get it. I understand it. So by you saying, like those people that are in that experience, that the $8 people and the $250,000 people, they don't know, they can't quantify what they're feeling. They know they're broke. Right. They know they struggle to do things that they may see other people do. But when you put a number on it, now they are like, oh, that's how broke I am. So I am not surprised by that statistic, but I'm glad that we're here talking about it.
Yeah, man, because I think, and listen, I am not passing judgment. I understand that there's a lack of access. Like, I do understand that wholeheartedly. The reality is this. The folks who have $250,000 net worth have more access to things than the folks who have $8 net worth, right? So I get that. And that's why I love the free platforms that just peak some, because we got to do the work.
Yes.
Like, you got to do the work, right? Like, you can hear that there's more. You can hear that there's a way to fix something, but you still got to do the work, you know? So the financial literacy piece for me, and the trigger for me with the GoFundMe is like, and again, it could just be the community I follow. Like, that wasn't like when GoFundMe was created in 2010. I know they rebranded in 15 or 17. That wasn't the intention.
No.
Like, it wasn't it was a place for essentially in people to get to invest in their ideas. Yep. Right? Like, it was a crowdsourcing, you know, crowdfunding. So, and then it turned into a lot of different things. And I've just felt so bad because I'm like, for some people, and again, I know it's access and I know it's all these things, that is the solution. Someone passes, we'll just put up a GoFundMe, you know, and hey, I love GoFundMe for that. There's another form of access, right? Like, it gives people access to money that they may not have gotten otherwise. So I love it for that, but it's a Band-Aid. It's not a solution, you know, and that what pains me is we often, not always, but often use it as, oh, well, I'll just do this. Yeah. Or we'll say, which I'm sure you've heard countless times, well, I'll be going, so I ain't worried about it anyway.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, but that's not fair to those who are left behind, because somebody's going to bear this burden. Right. Even if it's the humility necessary to create a GoFundMe, that's a burden that you have to bear, right? It's and some people won't do it because of that. You know, they don't want to feel whatever type of way. So what I want to know, Sean, is obviously a career in the Coast Guard, right? That doesn't scream financial services, right? So what? You excited?
That's a fire truck.
You excited?
I know somebody I don't want that.
Yeah. Somebody's house just burned down, right? To the ground. The studs. The chick was happy.
Whatever makes you happy, right?
So I just talked about your mentorship and, you know, and I just scratched the surface in terms of the people you've impacted and helped. What drew you to financial services?
Man, this is crazy. Like, so when I was 12 years old, a gentleman came to my home and started talking to my parents about, you know, setting up some type of savings and investments and, you know, just doing things to improve the financial situation for the family. And I just, you know, I'm a curious kid. I was a curious kid. I sat in there and listened to everything. And at the end, I don't even recall waiting for my parents, the punchline or anything. I just said, can I do that? And then he said, well, yeah, you know, you're gonna need your parents' permission, this and that. And I was like, y'all, can I do this? And they said, yeah. And I went to the room that had the file cabinet where we kept our money, the kids. I opened up that drawer, I pulled out $438, and I invested in American Pace Capital Mutual Funds by Smith Barney at 12 years old.
Wow.
And that was my introduction to that world. And I didn't really know what I was. I processed whatever he said, made me think, everybody needs to do this. I don't care how old you are, 12, 2, whatever he just said, everybody needs to do that. Right. And so I did it. And then, you know, you fast forward to, I'm a Coast Guard officer. I heard something in a class in college from a professor. He said, when you graduate, you need to get something called a Roth. I didn't know what it was. I just wrote it down on a notebook back when, you know, you were still writing stuff down. Right. I wrote it down. You need to get a Roth. I didn't even know what it was. And I remember graduating, getting to my first unit, and somebody came around talking about this Roth thing. And I looked into it, but I didn't do anything about it. My second unit, I'm in a restaurant having dinner with some officers. And we're all talking about, you know, we're talking about investments. Now, I won't tell you the demographic of the table, but I'm just saying we're all talking about investments, okay?
Right.
And they all have them. We all have them. And theirs were significantly more than mine at that point. We're all relatively close to the same age. You know, even though I started, you know, pretty much on my own when I was really young. So somebody overheard us having a conversation and came over and said, hey, I'm starting up a company, opening an office, and we want to train some people that want to learn and teach other people about investments. We'll help you get licensed. I said, man, I'm there. I went and I had to deploy right after that. So I didn't, you know, I deployed and came back, but I went, and that conversation changed my life. Because now I had the opportunity to really get educated. Because I was playing around, day trading, like doing different things when I was off work, you know, to try to figure out how to make money. I was always trying to figure out how to make money. As a kid, all that money that I invested was money I made, you know, cutting grass, you know, taking care of dogs, you know, cleaning up and people, you know, my brother's house or whatever. This little money, birthday money, I never spent it. But I always was looking for a way to have some extra money. Talk about I came out of college with no debt because, you know, thank you, American public. Shout out to all y'all. And I came out with a nice degree and a commission, which meant that I was making a good amount of money and very little of it was taxed. And I had housing and everything pretty much taken care of for me. So I was still looking for additional sources of income at that point.
Right.
So it was this was an ideal, opportune moment, and nothing in my background said, yeah, do something in this type of business or anything like that. But it was just the thought of being able to generate wealth intrigued me and has always for a long time. And this was just somebody connecting a dot for me. That's all. That's
awesome, man.
Yeah, that's dope. So
I realized, bro, that some of my questions didn't save on here. So if you have questions,
it's the back part of it.
Yeah, no, it's not.
So
yeah,
Sean,
so you can go.
Obviously with the gaps and the disparities in families and whatnot, like what do you feel is the biggest like challenge for families to achieve that financial success or financial education and freedom?
Yeah, so one of the things that I've spoken about recently is this idea of starting from scratch. You know, we love scratch. I said, you know what, my kids ain't gonna start from scratch. You know, the only thing that need to start from scratch is if you cooking, you know, some homemade cooking.
Yeah.
But you don't do scratch when it comes to financial development, educate. You don't do scratch. We do scratch, and that's the issue. You know, the black community, we do scratch. And why do we do scratch? Because even when we make it, we just leave, you know, I made it. You know, good luck, you figuring it out. Actually, let me show you how I made it. Let me get some things. Let me drive around with my car. Let me flash and let me show you how I made it with no intention on making sure that somebody else does the same thing. So this idea of scratch is the biggest issue. Because wealth in America is not started from scratch.
Right.
And I took a trip to Nantucket, and you want to talk about opening my eyes? I thought there were people, I used to think, okay, yeah, most of these people, if you look at statistics, money's not, if you look at statistics, the majority of wealthy people didn't just get it handed to them. It's a very small percentage that was just literally handed, like passed down. It's a very small percentage. And what it appears is that most of these people did it on their own. But when I went to Nantucket, what I figured out is that these families that started in America, that took from the Industrial Revolution, all these different revolutions that came, and all this money and all this wealth that was the old money in America, I went and I'm like, oh, that's where Home Depot came from? The whaling industry? That's where Starbucks? Y'all were friends? Like, oh, wait a minute. So you just didn't do the family business. You did a different business and you're getting credit with starting it on your own? See, listen, if you never had a business, if nobody ever gave you $1, but you just grew up around a bunch of wealth, entrepreneurial people with a whole lot of cash that pay cash for everything, including houses, you have a mindset that money cannot buy. So that mindset is what takes people to another level. It's the mindset. You don't have to give me $1. If you give me that mindset, I'll create the dollar. And so the gap is in that. So we're starting from scratch. literal scratch, not just, oh, you got to go do it on your own. Because the Vanderbilt, the guy, what's his name? The guy that's on TV, I can't think of the guy that does the interviews of Vanderbilt. He's on TV as a host. I can't think, but his mom said, we're not gonna just hand you this money. But he's a multimillionaire now. Why? It's because he grew up in that family with that wealth knowledge and that expectation and that understanding. And that is what allowed him to create what he created. He knew that this is the way you're supposed to live. And we don't get that. A lot of us don't get that. And until somebody disrupts us, like I was disrupted, like I disrupted you. You know what I mean? Like we've been exposed, you've been disrupted. Clearly, all of us here at this table have been disrupted. Why? Because we're at a table with all this technology doing this program. We've been disrupted, but a lot of us have not been disrupted.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that people watching this will say, well, how can I get disrupted? I'm hoping that this conversation will be the start. So you say, I might have started from scratch, but nobody else after me will.
Right. And you know what's interesting about that, man? Literally just had this conversation with Bree yesterday. Because she was having a conversation with someone, and what was uncovered in that conversation was, because the conversation was like, she has a very, very small student loan debt. Like, you can't even buy a car for what her student loan debt is like right now. The person she was speaking to, she was like, well, why didn't you apply for grants or student loans or scholarships or anything like that? She was like, I don't know. She was like, I just knew I was expected to go to college and I was just going to go to college. Like, she's like, so I didn't figure that other stuff out. I just knew I was going, you know, and I was like, and she's like, and I'll figure the rest out. But what I learned was that expectation came from me. Yeah. Right? Because I went to college. My now wife, girlfriend at the time, went to college. And we were the only two examples. Right? And her grandfather also went to college. But because she grew up in that environment, it was just understood that this is what happens. Right. You know what I mean? So I agree with you, man. I agree that not only do we start from scratch, I would argue that sometimes we start before scratch because there's bad habits that have been picked up, man. Like bad habits that have been picked up that you have to undo that.
I call that negative scratch. Yeah. I talk about it in my negative scratch.
Negative scratch, right? Yes. It's like you have to undo all of that just to get the scratch.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. So and me and my cousin, we talk about this all the time. Like growing up out here and him growing up in Hartford, we talk about like the most successful people in our neighbors were the drug dealers. Mm-hmm. And how we thought they had so much money, you know? And now that I'm older, I'm like, yo, y'all just had enough money to buy a car. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had enough money to buy a car, put some rims on it, and you can buy, because sneakers weren't that expensive, then you can buy a new pair of sneakers every week. You know what I'm saying? Like
couple necklaces and some rings.
Yeah, like, and the stuff they had, like, again, hindsight's always 20/20, and I'm sure at the time that was considered a big deal. Right. But it's like, that is so superficial. Right. It's so superficial, but however, that's the only example for a lot of people. Right. So then the negative scratches, that becomes the goal. Right. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like that becomes the goal. And you can feel like you've arrived when you get there. Right. You know, now you might have the nicest car on the block. You might be driving a Benz, but your damn car payment is $1,600 a month. Correct. You know what I mean? So it's like, with interest. Yeah, like my mortgage ain't that expensive, right? And it's like, well, the mortgage in Connecticut, the mortgage in Boston, whole nother story. So it's like, that's what you have to undo. And sometimes the work that you do, we do, to undo that negative scratch falls on deaf ears. Right. Because, and I'm making a general comment, but some people work their whole life to get that Benz. Right. You know what I mean? And not understanding that one, it's a depreciating asset or a depreciating liability, right? It's like the only thing that you've done is fulfilled something internally. Right. Because you haven't done anything to get you closer to whatever it is. And I respect that too. Right? Because we all have our own different circumstances and we all grew up different. But that's what I'm saying. We also have to do the work. Like it didn't require any work for you to look at an image of someone and aspire to be that. Right? Now, you may have done the work to gain whatever money it took you to get to that car note. But to get outside of that, to be disrupted, to take a step back and be like, maybe there's more out there. Because I tell people all the time, I bought my house because I was told you should buy a house.
Right.
I didn't understand the significance of it. I didn't understand the significance. I'm like, well, everybody's telling me I should buy one. I learned how to buy one. I learned how to get paid for buying one. I guess I'll buy one.
Right.
You know, and that's how it happened. But that wasn't, I tell people all the time, like, when I bought that house, I didn't even feel like super overjoyed or anything, right? It was just like, this is what
Step one.
Yeah, it's like, this is what I was supposed to do, you know? But it was that negative scratch that I also had to undo, because I talk about this sometimes on the podcast. And I don't know if I ever told you the story, but I bought the house January 2007. The moment I felt like I made it was 2010, when I bought a pair of Prada shoes, right? Because there was still that image in my mind of that's what success looks like.
Yeah.
No one owned a house.
Right.
I didn't know anybody who owned a house till I got to middle school, and my best friend at the time, his mom owned a house. And I'm like, oh, y'all got your own bedroom? Like, y'all got a backyard? Like, y'all got a pool? Like, it was, you know, so it was my boy from middle school. That was the first person I knew that owned a house. So it was not on my radar, but because of the environment I put myself in, it then became something that I felt like I needed to get accomplished.
Yeah,
So,
no, that makes a lot of sense, man. I'm right there with you. I think, you know, like you said, that exposure, that expectation being set. You know, shout out to my mom too. I didn't mention her in my check-in, but you know, my mom is 87. She's still here. She just had a birthday.
God bless her.
But both her and my father, they instilled some things in me. The work ethic. You know, there are some
Nuggets.
tangible things.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
I don't want it to just be like it's all thinking, but it starts with thinking. I don't care what. Everything starts with thinking. So this is an important thing to draw out.
So what's the door opener? Johnny over here wants to learn about money, wants to do better financially. What advice do you give Johnny?
The first thing I tell anybody is you need to become a reader. And, you know, I can throw out, you know, some books. I think, you know, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll say if you want to know what books, they need to contact you guys, because then I know you're serious. Because really, you know, books allow you to have experiences when you don't have people around you to give them to you. And you can be mentored by people that aren't even alive anymore. You can be mentored by people that you can't have access to just by reading their material and understanding. I read a book called I'm throwing one out, Millionaire Mind. It's one of the first books I ever read. And then I read that book before I ever lived here. And then I realized that most of those people live in Greenwich, Connecticut, that the book is based on. Like, and it, you know, it's a reason, like, why are all these people living together? And I learned things like, and I learned that I do things that I thought were kind of maybe weird, but I do things that are very similar to wealthy people, right? So you know, like resoling a shoe instead of getting a new shoe, you know, cutting the toothpaste in half, getting all the toothpaste out of it, putting a bunch of bars of soap together to make sure that the soap don't run out. Like, there are all these different things you think, you know, there's this stuff that you got to pick up and get you some foundation in a textbook. And that's going to be like the start of your journey. And then I would say, you know, the second thing is you need to find someone who's more successful financially than you are and submit to whatever they say. And that's, you know, but you're going to need to do both, because your mind is going to mess with you. The book's going to help, because that person's going to be telling you to do things that you're never going to want to do or believe that are feasible or reasonable, you know, and you're going to need the book to kind of help balance that out. So you get you a book and you get you a person and you go at it, you know, and I'm telling you, anybody listening to this, you follow those two things, and in 12 months, your money's not different. Come talk. I'll finance my mistake, but I know I'm right on this.
And I think that's the other thing too, man. We talk about access. My personal belief is you have to be curious, right? You have to be curious because you may say, well, I don't know anybody like Sean. I don't know anybody like Bell. I promise you they're out there. What you have to do, though, you have to put yourself out there. You have to get curious and go find it. Because, so like the beginning of my story, I've known Freddie Arizari since I was 9 years old. You know, I didn't know he did financial services, right? And it wasn't until I got curious that now I found Freddie, right? And I've known Freddie. I just didn't know him for that. Right. And he didn't know me for being curious about that.
Right.
You know, so, and I was, you know, and he also saw me as a kid and grow up, and I'm now a young man, but I got curious. And I think that is another challenge in our community is not allowing ourselves to take ourselves down a notch so we can go up 4 notches, right? Like, and admitting that, hey, I don't know this.
Right.
I want to be better. I don't know this. Like, I know a lot about a little bit, you know, but I don't know this.
Right.
And I want your help. You know, and I'll say one thing that my executive coach had told me, and I mentioned this in a couple episodes before. Another problem that I had, I won't speak for everybody, that I had, is help doesn't have to equal rescue.
Right.
Help doesn't have to equal rescue. And I think a lot of times that's how we quantify help in our mind.
Right.
Like, I don't need to be saved. Like, I'm not doing that bad, or I'm doing better than this person.
Right. The relativism is really tricky. And this is why you got to get the book. And this is why you got to get that person, because they will pull you out of what you think is correct, you know, because you can't create a problem. This is, I don't know, John and Kenny said it. I don't know who said it. You can't solve a problem in the same mindset you were in when you created it. And it's like, you have got to you're just never going to figure it out. You're you. You're the reason you're broke. You're the reason you're struggling. You can't get out of that yourself. Like, there's no way out of it yourself. And so just to give, you know, that same person that you want me to give that advice to, just a little bit of a reset. So if you're paying attention, you're watching this, and you've worked a full-time career for any length of time, just take the last 3 years of that career. Think about how much you were paid over those 3 years. And now add that up for the year, to the 3 years, how much? I don't know, maybe it's 50, 75, 100, 300, I don't know what it is. And then put right next to that number, how much of it can you put your hands on today? That should open your eyes up, and then think, okay, if I scroll this out to the age that I can no longer make this money, will that equal something that I can still eat with? And if the answer is no, or I don't even know how to do the math you just said, then you're not okay. And if you've never done that math, you're not okay. If you're not curious about that math, you're not okay. So that's maybe the first little, in addition to helping that person with, you know, make that transition. The first transition is making the one that says, I'm sick, I need a doctor.
Right.
You don't think you're sick, you know, and you never go to the doctor. A lot of times that happens to us because we don't go to the doctor. We wait, especially men, black men, we don't go until it's stage 4.
Right.
You know, there's 3 other stages. If you're at stage 4 in your money issues, it's because you missed stage 1, 2, and 3. And I'm saying, if you don't understand, you got to get some checks, right? First check, see how much money I've made, see how much money I have left, extrapolate that out till I feel I can't work anymore. Maybe that's 65, maybe that's 75. And if you can't eat at 75 years old without help from an income that you got to work for.
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe, your kids, whatever it is.
I need $1.
Then you have to recognize that and do something about it.
And I think that's so important because I'll speak again for myself. When you see broke your whole life, you start to believe that this is just how everybody is, right? Like, if you don't remove yourself from that circle, that's when the compare game comes in, like the relative brokenness.
Right.
Like, I remember the way I described where I grew up, I'm like, we lived in a place that was like, if the projects was 1A, we were 1B. Like, it was not the housing authority. Right. That's the only difference from it being a project.
Right.
And I'm like, but it was nice enough for people to say they didn't live in the projects.
Right.
Project adjacent.
Yeah, project adjacent. Exactly. Right. That's what I used to say. And it's like, but yo, like, this, shouldn't be the goal, right? Like, and I understand it. Like, our parents did the best they could. Like, I get that. I understand that. But at a time it becomes a responsibility for yourself to want more. And you need to know that you're called for more.
Yeah, man, I'm going to say this. Being broke is a condition of your checking account. Being poor is a condition of your heart and your mind.
It's a quote for your ass.
You can fix broke, but you're not going to fix poor. Like, you have you got to do some work there. You got to, me, I pray. For me, I give all glory to God because he fixed my heart and mind condition, which allowed me to deal, because I've been broke. You see me.
Yeah.
Bro. I had a lot and I had nothing.
We ain't got time to get into that.
No. You seen me broke, man, but I'm not broke today.
Right.
It's because I wasn't poor.
Right.
If I was poor, man, I might be crashing in your car tonight. Because I would never come out of that.
That's a good distinguishing factor, poor and broke. And I was trying to, as you were talking, I was trying to think of a quote, so I'm glad you brought it up. But that's real, man. That's real. And poor is absolutely a condition of the heart and mind, man. Like, it's so real. It's just like, but I also believe that, like you said, that ties into what we do, like the mental wellness.
Yes.
Right? It's like, what are you prioritizing? Are you prioritizing yourself and your mental wellness in any capacity? Right? Because what do you always say? If you don't make time for your wellness, you will be forced to take time for your illness. Right? So it's like, it's not only physical condition that we have to monitor, right? It's mental, physical, spiritual, financial. All these things are components of wellness. You can attach whatever you want to put on the front of it, but it's a matter of wellness. So I think that's so important, man, because you can be broke and not poor.
Correct.
And controversially, you can be poor and broke.
Yes, and I always say, correct your children if they say we're poor. Don't tell them we're not poor, we're broke.
Right.
If that's the situation where we're broke, it's fine. You can be. It's okay. That means when you go to my checking account, there's not enough in it to do what we need to do, right? But poor is you can see in the mentality. That's why even people with money can be poor. I've seen that. They got money and they're poor.
Yes. And they can have money and be broke, right?
Yeah.
Because when we used to sit down with families, I remember I would be intimidated by somebody making what I perceived to be like a high income in a nice neighborhood. And then I sit down with them and they like, yeah, we check the check.
Right.
And I'm looking around. I'm like, how you check the check?
Right.
I'm like, there's how? Like, how are you check the check? And then you start peeling back the layers. And again, I believe it's human nature, right? To compare, to compete. Like, it's human nature. So I understand it. And I've done it, right? So I'm not absolving myself of responsibility here, but I've done it where you keep up with the Joneses,
Absolutely.
On some degree, right? Whether how you dress, where you live, like the car you drive, the schools you send your kids to, it's all these different things. So anyway, I feel like I'm dominating the conversation.
It's a great conversation we got going on, and that's sometimes how it happens. What I'm taking from this right now is just like, people can work as hard and as aggressive as they want to make as much money as they can. But if they don't have that, like, it's all boils down to mindset and mentality. Mental. Correct. As it's crazy how much people don't consider how much mental health plays in financial stability.
Well, it goes back to self-worth, right? Like, what do you feel you're worthy of? And if you've never had that conversation with yourself, or you continue to have negative conversations with yourself, right, about your mentality or what I believe is worse than talking down to yourself is convincing yourself that you're good, right? Like, oh no, I'm good. Like, yeah, I'm good. I do my push-ups in the morning, so I'm you know what I'm saying? Like my dad, I always like, Dad, man, you We start working out together again. He's, boy, all the wrenches I be turning, I'm in shape. And that wrench ain't helping your cardiovascular. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like the stories that we tell ourselves. It's like, well, no, I'm good. Like and this is another thing that I had to reconcile is we can't stop dreaming.
True story.
Right? We can't stop dreaming. We can't stop setting goals because you can find yourself in a very stagnant place that's packaged as you've arrived.
I'll drop another book, even though I said I'm not a big G, but it's just in me, right? It's a Good to Great. Just read that book. Because,
great book.
You know, when you can get stuck in good, you know, and if you don't, there's no reinventing yourself. Like you can get stuck in a place. And I always wondered, I've been fortunate to have some very good mentors in the financial game. And I do my best to keep one in the area of spirituality. I keep one in financial. I keep one in emotional health, right? So I do the counseling, all of that. And, you know, in physical, right? I always want to have somebody speaking into my life in all those areas. And, but I used to wonder, like, what do you do? Like, you know, like I have friends now. I was talking about one of my friends is to run an ultramarathon, running a 100-mile race. Like, that's because, you know, he's already done the things that a lot of people like will never get to in their life. Yeah. And so he's got what's next. You know, it's a journey. You know, they talk about pinnacle. He's nowhere close, man. He's still talking about what we gonna do next. And I'm thinking to myself, this dude is beyond financially independent. I got a couple of friends like that, and interestingly enough, I've got a few friends like that, right? So they're the ones that keep me like, okay, no, you ain't know.
Exactly.
Like, I'm fine being in groups where people are looking at me like, man, I can't wait to get where you at. I'm fine, but I can't spend too much time here. It's like you said, don't believe your own press. Right. Good or bad. Don't believe your own headlines. It's great. People say, you do great. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Glory to God. And then I go back to, all right, listen, you ain't hard, you end up, okay, glory to God. And I go, it doesn't matter. If you praise, give me with a negative report, I'm keeping it right here. Yeah. I mean, but it's, I don't veer too far from this line. But the challenge, I think, and it happens to all of us, right? You know, but as you mature, you know, having that understanding, you got to check that. When you're younger, it's okay to like go to highlight reel. Like I know that people haven't matured when they still telling you about that pass they caught in 11th grade. I know they haven't. You know what I'm saying? Like there's things that I've done. Like I remember when some folks were helping me move out of my place when I was coming out of some situations, and they would pull it out. Like they were like, plank owner in the Department of Homeland Security. And there's a certificate, like I'm a plank owner in the Department of Homeland Security. And I forgot about that certificate. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty big deal. Like, and I looked at it, I was like, oh yeah, that's true. I did that, right? And it's like, why? Because I'm on to the next thing. Not that those things aren't significant. Now, I wish I was better at memorializing that stuff so that I can show, you know, my kids, and I can, you know, so I can show people, like the memorial stones in the Bible, they put memorial stones, like the Israelites put 12 stones so they know we walked through the Red Sea. That's why they have those stones. So we know, no, we got these out the actual Red Sea. So we want to remember that that's what happens. But, you know, but if we still living on them rocks, so we only go back there so we know if we come to another Red Sea, no, we had this before. Not so I can keep telling the Red Sea story, but so I know if I get to the Red Sea again, there's a chance that we can go through it. You know, and some people, their Red Sea experience is their only experience. They think that there's nothing beyond the Red Sea. And that's what happened, actually. They went around walking around in the wilderness for 40 years because they didn't understand that the journey they had could have took 4 minutes, took them 40 years because of their mentality. And I mean, we have that. And sometimes when I reference people in the Bible, I think when I get up there, I hope y'all say that. Because, like, because I've been referencing stuff, you know, because I have the luxury of reading the rest of the story, and they were in it, right? And so it's like when you get to a place where the thing that you accomplished becomes your anchor, your new, and you don't use that as a measure of hope for someone else, or maybe for yourself when you get stuck, and you make that your banner. Well, you get ready to go backwards, because I never see anything. I mean, if you're not growing, you're going backwards. There's no way to hold it steady. There's no steady as she goes. Like, why? Because of inflation. You know, people that say, oh, you know, I make a good paycheck. Well, no, you make 8% less than you did last year. I just got a raise. How much was it? No, you didn't. You didn't get a raise. Right. You actually went backwards. You know, and people don't get that. So it's like there's a mindset that says, you know, you ring the bell, and that might be the car. You know, I got this car, or it might be a house. You know, for us that are more sophisticated, it might be a certain number on the investment account. Whatever it is, you ring the bell, and then that becomes the anchor. It's like I just don't want those anchors. I want to do my best to say, you know what, glory to God for everything I get. But there's something, you got to keep dreaming. Just like you said, there's something more for me to do than just this thing right here. Because if there wasn't, I would be dead.
Right. So I think this is good, man. And we're going to wrap up. My last question to you is, what's the consequence that you've in your own experience have seen from somebody not putting their financial wellness at the priority it should be?
Well, one of the ones you started off with is you talk about, you know, somebody passing away prematurely and now we're raising money when we could have gotten the right life insurance and put something in place that doesn't happen, because that creates a wealth gap for, especially for African Americans. That creates a significant wealth gap. It's people dying without insurance. Right. Now, we don't want that to be the plan A, is your insurance policy, you know, but sometimes that becomes plan A, you know. So, you know, just not taking care of that is actually one of the biggest, I mean, it's crazy that is sad that is one of the biggest issues that we have, is that we just don't get insurance. It's like it should be second nature, but I can't imagine if nobody told me. But I mean, right when I went into the military, they made us get it. Can you imagine that? Right when I went in the military, we had it, period. Like they know you might not come back. So we got it. And it was pretty good amount. I was thinking to myself, man, I'm gonna make somebody rich or something. You know, and in reality, because I was, again, ignorant, I didn't know that that's not really a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like, you know, some people say, well, you got, you know, what you gonna do? Make somebody wealthy by getting a $500,000? Like, no, dude, how much money do you make in a year? If you make let's say you make $50,000 a year. How long do you think 500,000 is gonna last? Right. Let me do the math. It's not 10 years.
Right.
You know, and you got a 2-year-old. So you're telling me by the time that kid's 4, like that money's gone. You know, so insurance is one, and the consequence of that is, you know, you're devastating the family financially, emotionally. Talk about mental health. You know, you want to create a mental health problem, lose somebody, and then have to figure out how to finance all the stuff that comes after that. Yeah. We're doing that. You know, having to pay they want their money now. They will stop and let the body do whatever. I've seen it. So then there's the consequences of debt. And let me just tell you, that's another one. It's like cancer. You just pass that process on to the next generation. Like, we borrow money for things, and it's an American tradition.
Yeah.
We started that nonsense. Like other countries, we started it, and you know, the consequences of debt are beyond just what the dollar is, because it's a mindset that says, you know, that's why people love their credit score. When people brag about their credit score, I already know, do not give me any financial advice, because you're telling me you're really good at being in debt. And it doesn't mean you should have a bad credit score, don't get me wrong. If you borrow money for a reason, you should pay it back, which means your credit score should be good. But if your goal is to have a good credit score, and you want to talk to me about how to make it better, you should talk to me about how to get some cash so you don't have to borrow from everybody. So the consequences of borrowing money all the time is, one time you're not going to be able to borrow enough money to do the things you want to do. And now you're widening that gap that we talked about. So, you know, not having the right insurance in place, you widen the gap. Owing and then dying premature on top of that, you widen the gap even more. And then the third thing that is a consequence when you don't save, when you don't figure out a way to save, I don't care what it is, man. When I was broke, really broke, I started saving like
just 25. I put $25 a month in 3 different piles. And I haven't say a number of what that is today, but it's a significant number. I 25.525. That's $75 a month. And that money grew and compounded significantly. I was broke beyond reason. And I said, but I knew in my mind that this is a principle. Like there's things that I knew to do. I knew to give my money to the Lord. I knew that. And I knew to put this money aside. I knew that. And it's like, how much? Well, the minimum amount was $25. And I did that.
That's what we do.
And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And the consequences of not saving is that somebody's going to have to take care of it one day. Period.
That's fair. Sean, man. Appreciate you for coming through, dropping the nuggets on the people, and just kicking it with us, man. We would love to have you back. I think we like the check-in kind of took most of the conversation, really give you a chance to shine at your greatest, but I think having you back would be dope.
Yeah, man, I think there's so many levels that you can touch on. All this stuff goes hand in hand with mental wellness, man. So it's like you said, it's a mountain. You never summit, man. It's like the work is continuous.
Yeah.
Right. The mental wellness work, the physical, the emotional, spiritual, the financial work is continuous. It's not I talked to you about something else. Like, don't confuse the destination for the journey. You know what I mean? Like, no, the journey is what you're after, right? The milestones that you hit are just a part of that journey. It doesn't stop, right? It doesn't stop. So I think that's where mentality comes in, right? And education. And yeah, man, and I appreciate you making the time, man, because I just think it's anytime I hear you speak, I'm always, enamored by the way you deliver. And I know people will be able to pull something from that, man. And reach out, right? Reach out to us if you want, some help financially, right? Sean and his team can help, and we can figure that all out. But for me, this is more awareness, right? Triggering something in the listener's mind to make them question something. I don't care what it is.
That's every episode.
Yeah, like just ask yourself one more question.
Yeah.
Right? And if you don't have the answer to it, right, there may be some work that needs to be done there. So I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Sean, how do people get a hold of you? How do they find you?
Well, you can email me for sure, and it's really easy. It's just Sean CB, like Sean Charlie Bravo. My first name is spelled SEAN, and it's @live.com. So Sean CB @live.com. You can just shoot me an email.
And put ABMNT in the subject line so he knows what you're referencing.
Yeah. And sure, like whatever, like if there's, for you guys, your contact information, especially if it's coming from you guys too. If somebody reaches out to you guys saying I need some help, and then you guys can direct it to me, that's another way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll give people the voice line.
Yeah, so go into that. This has been another episode of All Black 93. Before we get into the closure of it, let's check our final thoughts. Final thoughts. And so we wrap the episode up with kind of whatever nuggets and gems you want the people to take away from the conversation we had. I'll go first. I don't typically go first. I think there was a ton of stuff that stuck with me, but I think a lot of the things a couple of things that the people should take with them is, one, we have a tendency to anchor ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And that is something that we definitely have to look into. And just the importance of having mentors. Like, and even if not mentor, just being vulnerable enough to ask for help. And that's something that a lot of people, a lot of black men, a lot of black and brown people don't do. We don't ask for help. Pride is a mofo around in our culture, man. So let's not anchor ourselves and ask for help. And more importantly, I don't want to say eavesdrop, because it sounded like Money had his ear to your conversation when you were with your team, but he came over like, yo, I got a job for you folks, I'm saying you're interested, but like, if you hear something that you're intrigued by, pay attention. Don't be afraid to just shake a hand and, ask some questions and help better yourself.
Yeah, another way to say that is get curious.
Yeah.
That's another way to say that.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead. Final thought.
I'm grateful, man. I'm appreciative and grateful. I mean, obviously I know Sean, you didn't have a problem doing this, right? But I'm just glad that the people got to hear from you, because I knew where your zone of genius was, right? After getting to know you, I just think it's important for people who may not have access to a Sean to just hear, right? And And I talk about things, you know, that I've done and stuff like that, but I think it's different coming from you, you know. But yeah, man, I think I'm in a grateful space, man. Like I said, you know, it's like anytime you go to a wedding, you start thinking about marriage, right? And like what that would look like for you if you're unmarried, right? Or you may start appreciating your marriage that much more, whatever. And it's like, I just went to a funeral yesterday. You know what I mean? So, and the crazy thing is, when we scheduled this, my cousin didn't pass yet. You know what I mean? So it's just so ill that the timing of this, you know? But yeah, man, my final thought is this. You don't have as much time as you think. You don't have as much time as you think. So you have to plan now, right? Because you don't have as much time as you think, you know, like, and I'll take my own advice. Like me and the wife just started our estate planning, you know, because we got to get some stuff. Like, because my thing is this, like if I went today, I got money here, there, property here, there, like sure. Nobody got passwords, nobody, you know what I mean? Like how do they access it? And then, you know, you got to go through probate. Like I don't want to put that burden on anybody.
It's a great problem to have, though, by the way. It is.
Yeah, man. So
they wouldn't have been able to even have that. You wouldn't be talking about that.
No. But thank you for that. But, you know, so.
I just realized the memory card is full for the audio.
Got to be more careful.
When they cut off. So, what do we want to do? Want to just finish this out like this? Or I don't think I have another one to put in there.
Hey, man. We just got to finish. So I'll just speak up because now you're picking up my audio from the cameras. So.
Oh, yeah. That didn't even help either. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Cut that part out.
So anyway, all good. Yeah, my final thought is we don't have as much time as we think. And lean in to your curiosities, right? Lean in to what life is for you right now. Just lean into it. Just start asking some questions. Not saying it's good or it's bad. Just lean into it. Start asking some questions. And tap in is up there, man. There's countless free resources out there for education, right? Free to an extent, right? You can get the basics and then you probably got to pay, or you can buy some books and you can learn some things. You just lean into that curiosity. That's my final thought. Lean into your curiosity, and you don't have as much time as you think.
Sean, final thought.
Yeah, my final thought is that you two gentlemen are living proof that this stuff works.
Yeah.
Because I know I've had the chance to speak into both of you with regards to finances, with regards to just getting stuff together, and it works. I didn't do the work. I didn't do the work for you.
Right.
You guys did the work. But I just want to encourage anybody watching, like, it is available. It's possible. And I'm not telling you it's easy. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm telling you that it is possible to change, and it may not happen all in your generation. You may not see everything you want to see, but I guarantee if you set out with your mind, I'm changing my family tree, because that's what I was like. I want to live different. You know, I want to be different. I want my kids to be wanting to do different things. You know, I want them to be excited about going to see Martha's Vineyard. I didn't know Martha's Vineyard was such an African American thing until I went. You know, and I you know, there's all these different ways to expose the next generation, and I'm saying it's very, very possible. Doesn't matter. I don't care if you 35 cents away from a quarter today, right? I'm saying, like, you can still turn that around with just some tools. You know, get the right tools in your hand, or get the right resources, get around the right people, and I just want to encourage everybody today to do that. Thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, absolutely. We appreciate it.
We had some more technological difficulties, but we're gonna get it right sooner than later. Y'all, we thank y'all for tapping in. We can be reached at allblackmoneytherapy@gmail.com. Shout out to our guy Prentice, who isn't here today, but you can hit us all up individually at Chief Prentice or Bell at abmnt.com. We have a voice line for those of you going through it in the moment. Just need somebody to reach out to, 860-410-6160. And we appreciate y'all for tapping in. And per usual, man, do us all a favor and help a black man today.
Do it.
And tomorrow.
Do it.
We out.